We are approaching one of our last stops in the legislative session, and with that comes something unearthly and frightening. Oftentimes it starts quietly and innocently with a single bill. Then, desperation creeps into legislators' psyche, and they frantically search for a host to carry their dubious legislation. Like Frankenstein's monster, parts are pillaged from the wreckage of bills gone wrong. These are called trains, like a nostalgic piece of America's history or a child's toy at Christmas. In reality, they are bills that combine parts from several pieces of legislation to make one hideous, lumbering monster of a bill.
Train bills are just that. That's why we call them train bills. It's a bill that has already been heard in committee, has already moved through the system, and they start attaching other things to it. And it moves very quickly towards the end of session, and usually they take some things that people like and add a lot of bad things to it.
So far, we have seen one education train bill coming down the track, the testing bill. Though Senate Bill 926 once provided a ray of hope to educators, it's since lost its shine. This bill still promises to make some positive changes in the testing system, but the train can be reconstructed at any of the stops it has left to make before becoming law. Among other things, the bill currently requires testing dates to be pushed back later into the year, eliminates the use of some tests for the purposes of meeting high school graduation requirements, and allows for a paper and pencil option for testing. FEA will closely monitor this bill as it makes its final stops. A dark cloud is coming our way on Monday, with both the annual contract bill and the retirement bill on the list to be heard in the Senate Governmental Oversight and Accountability Committee. Remember, the annual contract bill threatens superintendents' ability to offer job stability to highly effective and effective teachers. This will disrupt stability in schools and has a damaging effect on our students' learning environments. This is happening after the annual contract bill was abruptly temporarily postponed in this week's Governmental Oversight and Accountability Committee meeting. We will keep a close eye on this meeting as it is sure to have a very interesting ending. The Senate has begun to have conversations about wraparound services. FEA has always supported wraparound services in our public schools. Our students come to class with needs, and it's important that we meet those needs to provide them with the very best learning experience possible.
These wraparound services are personal to me because, as you can see, I wear glasses, but I didn't find out that I wore glasses until I was 16 years old and I went to take the driving test, and I passed my written test and I passed the driving test, but I actually went to take the vision test and found out there that I couldn't see. Now, why is this important? Because sometimes you don't get the services that you need simply because of not having the time or not having the wherewithal to understand what could possibly be going on with a student.
If we make our schools community centers where we provide students what they need to function as human beings, then they will also be able to function in the classroom, and they will be able to learn and make the progress that we all expect them to be able to make.
We hope they continue these conversations as we enter budget negotiations. Even though we are approaching the last weeks of session, now is not the time to give up. Continue contacting your lawmakers and make your voice heard.
It was a wonderful experience, very informative, educational, be able to sit down with the legislators and lawmakers.
Not only do you get to see where your dues actually go, you get to see the people working very hard for you, but you really can make a difference talking to your local senators, to your representatives. They are people. They are definitely listening to you. And I would recommend to FEA members at home now, call them, talk to them.
We must stay aggressive in our pursuit of what we're looking for out of this particular session.
It's very important for them to see what teachers do in the trenches, because sometimes they lose that perspective.
You get to share your classroom experiences, your stories, and some of them seem to be touched by those things, and I think that influence the legislative process.
Back at home, we feel that you can help by meeting with, contacting, and talking with our local legislators to also let them know how you feel about the needs of our students in our schools.
When they know you're going to be watching, when they know you're going to keep showing up, then they're going to listen more carefully to what you have to say, and they're going to think more deeply about what actions they take when they're up here in Tallahassee.
We really do need to keep this going all year long so that we will be on their minds when these votes come up.
I'm very, very energized. I know that some of our legislators are very dry, but I believe that a spark has been lit, and I believe that now a fire will be ablaze. I encourage every FEA member in the state of Florida to make this trip because someone is listening.
That's all for this week. Stay tuned as this legislative session is sure to have a dramatic ending.